Hey, what's the word, nicotine fiends and tobacco connoisseurs? Welcome back to another cigar review brought to you guys by Don't Inhale. Today in this smoke session, I'm going to be talking about La Aroma de Cuba Connecticut in the Robusto Vitola. So, once again, right off the bat, I gave this cigar a 4.7 out of 10. It's definitely not the best La Aroma de Cuba. I think it's my least favorite La Aroma de Cuba that I've smoked so far. And here's the breakdown as to why I, gave it that score. So, some background information on it. The wrapper is an Ecuador, Connecticut. Binder and filler are both from Nicaragua. The texture of the cigar right off the bat, it was slightly rough. It wasn't a very oily wrapper. The smell of the wrapper gave me like a stale peanut shells kind of smell, but the foot had a very nice smell to it. It was like a dried fruit jam kind of smell underneath the tobacco barnyard smell that a lot of cigars tend to have. For this session, I went with the guillotine cut, and the cold draw just gave that signature barnyard profile to it, nothing special. So I lit up the cigar, and off the initial combustion, I got this cedar with a slight molasses sweetness and a lingering hint of red pepper spice. Out the retrohale, I got a brown sugar mixed with a medium white pepper spice to it. So then I smoked through the first third, and the palate of the first third gave a very bland nuttiness with a slight molasses finish. There was still that lingering cayenne pepper spice on the palate. And then out the retrohale, I got a brown sugar mixed with a medium white pepper spice. And the burn line for the first third, it was pretty good. And the ash had a solid stack. So then I smoked through the second third of the cigar. And through the second third of the cigar, I got flavors on the palate that was very earthy. There were notes sometimes of a peppered potato chip, and there was some presence like lingering, not lingering, but like faint notes of a plum sweetness. And out the retrohale, I got a stale French fry with a light syrup sweetness. Burn line was not as straight as the first third, but it also wasn't super wavy either. And then I made it all the way down through the final third of the cigar. And out the palate, it gave a very fleeting stone fruit flavor. And the retrohale was very, it was like a dried, like jackfruit chips. If you guys have ever eaten that, like a dried jackfruit chip, but it was like a stale jackfruit chip. And there was a strong white pepper spice through the sinus now. So at the end of the cigar, I would give the body, it was more like a mild plus. The flavors were, overall very bland. Like I had to really focus a lot, like hone in on what I was tasting in order to pull out distinct flavors. But if you were just casually smoking it, you can miss it easily. Like that's why I think the body is very mild. Strength, I would also say, is very mild. There's not a strong nicotine bite to it at all. Very easy smoke. So for the flavor score, I would give it a 2 out of 10 personally, just because the cigar, like I said, once again, it was very, very bland, and the notes were extremely hidden by the blandness. You have to really focus when you're smoking this cigar in order to get like the tasting notes out of it. And the construction, I would say it was a 9 out of 10. Decent burn line, ash was stacking pretty well, draw was also very good, and the price was $8. And when I think of all the $8 cigars out there, this is on the lower end of $8 cigars. So I gave it a score of 3 out of 10. What I mean by that is, when I think of other $8 sticks, like there's the Room 101, the Big Payback, the Oscar by Oscar Valladares is around that price. What else is around that price? Some like Fuentes, like Rosado is about $8. Those are better cigars to me. Flavor wise, they'll offer you a lot more. Even if you're not trying to pick out flavors, the flavors really like jump out at you and you get a more complex smoke. And yeah, so that brings the overall score to a 14 out of 30, which is why I gave it which equates to a 4.7 out of 10 on a scale. And I mean, I would recommend this cigar to beginners. When you're first starting out, you should definitely check out this cigar. It's not a really complex smoke at all. You can just use this cigar as a stepping stone to get into La Aroma de Cubas, because there are other, like, in the lines. Like, after this cigar, I would recommend you smoke like the Original. That is a step up from this, but the Original is a really nice flavor, well-balanced cigar. Then after the Original, I would say you should try out, La Pasión and Noblesse. And then finally, I would say the Mi Amor would be the final step personally for me, because the Mi Amor was the spiciest out of all La Aroma, and it was also like a very chewy, smoked, like, flavor profile that you can get a lot out of it too. And yeah, guys, so there you have it, another review. This has been La Aroma de Cuba Connecticut in the Robusto Vitola. Get to burning the stick, but don't inhale.